What's up, everybody? Castaway Jay here. I haven't done a video in a long time, a DIY video. I've been on kind of a hiatus. A lot of it's the weather because it's been so hot and just been busy with work and life. But today we're working on a bank to curb, and it's kind of mellow. It's going to be kind of small, something easier to skate or something that people learn slappies on. But we have the forms over here already up, and just salvaged a bunch of these blocks, cinder blocks from an old building. Salvaged these bricks and these landscaping blocks, and the curbs are actually upside down right now, and we've got liquid nail Loctite on them, and they're gonna flip them over and glue those down. Okay, now we got our curbs up there and we got them somewhat leveled off right now. I'm gonna have to come back and probably put some forms behind here and then pour some mortar in the back here and kind of fill in the cracks in between the curbs too, where I couldn't get them to butt up, but I got them pretty even. Okay, so we got a lot of this filled in with gravel, and I was having trouble last time with the grinder getting this paint grinded off, so we're trying a different route now on these curbs, and this is this citrus stripping gel. So we put that on there. We're going to try to use this to strip the paint off this. And the plan back here is try to build a little makeshift form, is to do the platform first with mortar behind the curbs, so to kind of hold it in place. And then after I get done with that, or we get done with that, then we're going to pour the bank. Okay, this is my first batch of mortar right here that we're mixing up for the platform. And we've got the forms back here, kind of tape the cracks up on it, and gonna pour it back here, a fairly thin layer, like probably an inch and a half, to try to hold everything together, and then try to put a little bit in between these two curbs here. And we still have some sanding to go on these curbs, get the rest of this paint off. I tried to get these two curbs to join together, this mortar right here, and filling in the platform, trying to smooth it out. This stuff goes a lot longer way than what I thought. I originally had made an estimate. I think I'm probably gonna be able to get this done with about 2.5 bags, 60-pound bags. And it's about 12 inches wide and 13 feet wide, and the platform's about 12 inches across. And now we're going over it with the magnesium float, try to get it nice and smooth and leveled out right. Okay, so the next step is going to be to bust out the slab, so when we pour the bank, it'll be level at the bottom. So I've got me a line here that I scratched with an old Sawzall blade, and then I've got my grinder, and I've got this masonry diamond blade on my grinder. So I'm basically going to cut a line, and I'll probably actually cut a couple of lines like side by side, probably maybe an inch apart, and then put some cross hatches. And then after I get done with that, then I'm going to take like a chisel and a hammer, a sledgehammer, and try to bust the slab out some. One part I left out about this is when you're cutting it, you want to get like an old water bottle, put a hole in it, and keep squirting the water bottle while you grind it, and because you want the surface to kind of stay wet while you're grinding it to keep the dust down, and so it's keeps the friction from getting overheated. Okay, I got my little cross hatches cut in here with my grinder, and now the next step is going to be to get my chisel and my hammer and my sledgehammer and just bust this out as best I can. And definitely you want to wear eye protection when you're doing this, because the concrete flies in every direction. And I've got this little chisel and hammer too, but it doesn't do a whole lot. It takes a little longer with this. I got most of this chiseled out, busted out so it'll be level at the bottom. And now we're using this rope, and you stretch a rope across it and you go down the forms and the transition to make sure that you've got it leveled out correctly before you pour. Okay, so I'm gonna talk a little bit about the mix that we're using real quick. We've got these 80-pound bags of concrete mix because it's cheaper to buy the bigger ones. And then we've got some Portland cement. We've got several bags of Portland cement. And we have some sand somewhere. I'll have to get the sand. And I got this mixer right here that I bought used off Facebook Market for pretty cheap. And I've got my generator running over here for the power of this mixer. And the way I do it is I mix in a little bit of sand and a little bit of Portland with the Quikrete to make it smoother. It's a cheaper way to make the probably I guess I would say 1 part Portland and 1 part sand with the Quikrete, and it comes out a little bit smoother on the top. And got my creek right here to dip my water out of, which makes it a hell of a lot easier. Better to have the water first on standby before you get started. Okay, here's my bags of sand right here. I'm gonna mix this in with the Quikrete, with the Portland, and just mixing the water first before I start mixing in the Quikrete, so it won't stick to the mixer as bad, and just kind of eyeball it till it looks right inside the mixer. Okay, so in this one wheelbarrow, we got Portland and sand mixed together, and then in this one we got Quikrete. So it seems to be easier for me to shovel it out of the wheelbarrows into the mixer versus trying to pick up an 80-pound bag and dump it straight into the mixer. Okay, I kind of want to show you what the consistency looks like before I dump it. It's pretty solid. It's pretty solid. And I've got this concrete adhesive now, bonding adhesive, and I'm going to dump this down on the bottom so it'll hopefully stick to the concrete more. And also, you're not supposed to do this, you're supposed to cut the mixer off, but you can dump it out while the mixer's running. You just got to watch your cord. More of the contents will come out onto your work if you do it this way. And I put a little bit of that adhesive on these curbs too, to try to, so the concrete would try to stick to these curbs. Didn't get all the paint off the side, but I got as much as we could get. It's like you don't know until the end, or the middle or the end sometimes, if you need to make adjustments, or the beginning kind of in this case. But we had to reset this curb right here because it wasn't straight and level, and put some mortar underneath it and to get it set in place, to get it lined up better with this other curb. So there's a gap back here that I'm having to fill in. So I got this little bucket here. I'm mixing up mortar, and I'm going to pour it in the crack behind it. So just give it some extra reinforcement to close up the platform on it. Jeff's got this thing looking icy already. And then I'm filling in this crack back here
So we have like a lot of filler
with this mortar. And I kind of use the mortar on the end here and filled in the cracks and put a little bit on the end to kind of hold it in place a little bit. Work smarter, not harder.
Because
I just want to say this thing is a back saver. It's definitely worth the investment.
there ain't no money in a right arm.
I told me they have a like a mold.
No, this thing is getting pretty close. We're going to mix up one more batch. What's left in these wheelbarrows. I'm going to smooth it out. We usually let it sit for maybe an hour and then spray it down with water and smooth it out one more time before I leave. Alright, this is basically the finishing touches. Got this water bottle here that I poked a hole in the top, and I sprayed the whole thing with water, and we're just trialing it one more time. It's been about 2 hours, so we'll let it set up a little bit.
That's pretty bad, Jeff.
We're trialing it one more time to smooth it out, and then I'm going to go over this curb right here with clear coat. This is what I used in one of the previous videos. This is the Min Wax Wand Coat Poly, and then I've got a little paintbrush here, and I just bricked as much paint off this thing as we could, and we tried sanding it. All the paint wouldn't come off. It's really, the curves really itself is really smooth, so I think it's going to be okay. But anyway, I got this little cheap brush. I'm just going to brush it on there, the clear coat really thick. Then a couple of days, 2-3 days, we're ready to skate. Just go over this thing really, really thick with this clear coat, since there's a lot of cracks in here and there's still some paint. Alright, here we go. Finished project. Doesn't look the best with a little bit of that paint still on it, but I think that clear coat will make up for it and make it smooth enough to where it's going to grind and slide really nicely. Just got to wait a couple of days now. This concrete to cure. Again, I'm sweeping it off, get ready to skate it for the first time. Looks like nobody's touched it. It was still blocked off. Just got some little chunks at the bottom I need to kind of scrape up, so I'm about to wax these curbs and give it a go. See how it skates. literally make myself stop skating because I'm so sweaty and beat up. I had one really bad slam where I flipped over the wall, but this thing is so fun, man. There's so many possibilities on this thing. I just couldn't stop trying new stuff that I haven't landed before. The only thing that I guess I need to come back and fix on it is in the very middle where the mortar started chipping away, and eventually it just got to where it was just catching my front trucks like every time. Unless I put more weight on the back, then I could roll over it. But I kind of use that to my advantage to learn a new trick. When I was stalling out on my front truck, I tried pivoting around off my nose to pivot around 360 back in the bank, and I got a little slow, but I eventually got it. I guess the biggest obstacle for building this thing, it went pretty smoothly, except for taking the paint off the curbs, and I didn't expect that. If I could go back and do it all over again, I just would have sanded as much paint as I could off of it and just painted it the same color so it looked better. But we tried about 3 different techniques. We couldn't completely remove it, so I just clear coated it. I'm a big fan of clear coat, and the clear coat seems to grind and slide pretty good. But I'll get a shout out to all the Creekside guys for helping me build this. I'm really out of breath right now. I appreciate everybody watching this, and go out there and get some clips. And once again, thanks again Creekside crew for helping me build this. This thing is awesome. You guys will have a blast on this.